we've got this series that we're doing called the Daily Dose of DI, where I tackle, I don't know, if it's a question, a topic, a controversial thing, whatever. I'm trying to, like I said, put my not my spin, but my knowledge, my education, and my common sense to it, and try to find ways to equate what dice influence kind of is, what dice influence are trying to do, and make that make sense for the folks who either don't believe it, or are kind of on the fence, or just want more information about it. So here's what I'm talking about today. You hear a lot of these acronyms, and dice controllers use, you've heard SRR, sevens to rolls ratio. It's, I mean, how many rolls do you average between your sevens? The random average is 6, right? 7 comes every 6 times. Your SRR should be about 6. If you're a good dice thrower, you should be above 6. You should be breaking 6. If you can hold the 7 off to 7 or 8 times, that's more hits for you. That's the baseline metric is SRR. But that's not really telling the story, right? Dice influencers and craps players in general, you want to look at win rate, right? The come out wins are like, I look at them like bonus money. If you're on the pass line, you get, $10 on a 7 or whatever. Great. That's not typically your whole strategy. Your strategy as a right sider generally is going to be up in the box, betting numbers. And the SOR attempts to sort of mitigate some of the, give you a better sense of how often or how much you're going to win. Essentially, it's the rolls between 7s, but not counting the come out. It's a 7 out ratio. How many rolls do you throw before you 7 out? So I get the dice for the first time until my last roll when I finally 7 out. That's the SOR. And it kind of discounts the come out 7s because it's really your entire roll length. What's your average over roll length? It counts multiple points. It doesn't count come out 7s. And it's kind of a, how long do you hold the dice for kind of a metric. And then you've got this thing called BSR, which is box numbers to 7s ratio, which Heavy Haltham in the Axis Craps group has kind of come up with. And the box number to 7 ratio is that same thing, but it's payable events. It's basically from when you get the dice to when you 7 out, how many box numbers did you hit that you got paid on, right? It's actually a how many times did a dealer hand me money during my roll kind of metric. That's one that I'm kind of excited about. That's actually a metric that I think is worthwhile to me, because if I'm throwing well, I'm throwing more box numbers. And if I'm throwing well, I'm throwing longer and getting more of those. So, all of our hits, I need 3 hits to, get my goal income down. This SR of 3 sounds like it's going to get me my 3 hits, but those 3 hits might be horn numbers, right? So BSR attempts to further fine-tune the stats. And it sounds like, and I've had guys who don't believe in dice control and some math wizards tell me that you guys, you DIs keep moving the goalposts. They keep making new metrics up to sort of, make it look like you're better than you are, or some perceived advantage that's not actually there. I liken this to baseball. And I think baseball is one of these sports where if you watch enough baseball, and I do, and I know a lot of us out there do, baseball is a game with an insane number of metrics, right? If you look at the baseball stats, they'll give you things like, this pitcher hasn't thrown a strike to the number 2 batter on the 3rd pitch in 17 games. Like, they have stuff like that doesn't actually matter. But from a batting standpoint, think about this, right? You've got your baseline. What's your baseline in baseball? Your baseline in baseball is your average, your batting average. It's like your SRR. It's like you get up to plate 100 times, you hit, 30 base hits and 100 at bats, your batting average is 300. You're a Hall of Famer. Doesn't tell the whole story. That doesn't tell the whole story at all. If those 30 hits all came with nobody on base and you never scored, big deal. You hit 300, you're a good hitter, but it wasn't valuable hits. That's SRR to me. They have other metrics. Your OPS, which is your on-base percentage, how often you get on base. That includes walks now, right? Because walks count, and includes your slugging percentage, which is, are you hitting singles, doubles, triples, or home runs? So your OPS actually expands the reach of how powerful are your hits, right? How impactful is your on-base percentage, right? You're getting more into SOR in that land. Then you've got this a couple new stats here the last few years. One's called the WAR, W-A-R. It stands for wins above replacement. I'm going to read you the formula. The wins above replacement metric in baseball is your batting runs, how many times you batted somebody in, how many times you scored from the bases, right? Your fielding runs, positional adjustments, league adjustments, replacement runs divided by runs per win. It's this entire algebra formula that basically says if it's John in the 3-hole versus, let's say, Dice DGen in the 3-hole, which one of us is more impactful to our team in terms of wins produced, right? Now you're getting to bridge between SOR and BSR. Like, how impactful are you specifically to your team? This is getting more into things like, a batting average of 300 with nobody on base, big deal. If you're batting 100 with nobody on base and you're batting 450 with guys in scoring position, okay, you're way more valuable to your team than just being on base. WAR does account for you being on base and scoring runs. It gives some of that in there, but really it weighs more heavily on runs produced from you at the plate. Are you batting guys in? Are your hits more productive? I would rather have you have 20 hits out of 100 than 30 if 10 of those hits came with guys in scoring position. That's baseball looking at production. That's BSR. That's you being on base with a point being set and whacking box numbers. That's the BSR. It's how valuable were your at-bats, how valuable were your throws and craps. And baseball's got it right. Baseball is fine-tuning the metrics to get down to what kind of value does a player really add to a team? And I can watch a guy strike out, 4 times in a row with nobody on base, but every time somebody's on second, he's hitting a double. I like that guy. That's my catcher. That's why Seattle Mariners catcher, by the way. That's exactly what he does. He never gets on base until somebody else is on base. The guy produces, he's batting like 204, but he's a productive player because he's always batting guys in, right? That's the kind of thrower I want. I want to be that kind of craps thrower. I want to be throwing numbers when I'm on the point, okay? There's another new metric this year called WRC Plus, which is basically another level up on that, which is the weighted runs created. And what this means is it takes into account your hitting, your running, all the same things that WAR does. It also factors in the pitcher's ERA that you're batting against. It factors in the field you're playing on. It factors in the era that you're playing in terms of actual, bat speed versus the pitcher's velocity. It takes all that into account. It actually matters if you play your home games at Fenway versus playing your home games here in Seattle where there's a bigger field. So the WRC Plus is another level of that where it's really about your overall production common with the pitchers you're facing, the parks you're playing in, and the era. It's interesting how baseball has figured out ways to really put value on guys. I think SRR, which is the baseline metric, is just like batting average. It means nothing. It really means nothing. It means nothing at all if I'm throwing a 7, 5 horn numbers, and a 7, and I'm on my SRR of 7. It looks great on paper, but it was not productive. So I'm looking at this from a baseball, and again, I coached baseball for years and years, a metric of productivity. And that's where I'm logging my throws. That's where I think you should, if you're doing DI, you should focus yourself on metrics that matter. How much can I win? How often can I win? How consistently can I win? Again, give me the guy that bats 200 and he's batting somebody in every time they're on second base. Give me that guy. Give me the guy that can set a point and roll 5 numbers versus the guy that rolls 17 numbers, but they're all horns. I'll take first guy versus second guy every time. So there's your daily dose of DI with a baseball kind of twist on it. And again, I think productivity is where it's at for me. So the numbers that I'm logging and the math folks that I've brought in to kind of help me assess what I'm doing, it's all about productivity numbers. And I think if you look at an app like Bone Tracker that Heavy puts out, and you can go to accesspowercraps.com and grab Bone Tracker. I think they have it for free now. Grab it, log your rolls. It has most of this stuff built in there along with charts and everything else. You don't have to worry about all the access face predictions that it gives you. Just look at the raw numbers. Log your rolls in, look at the raw numbers. As a matter of fact, when I get done with this series here, and I've got my 10,000, we'll put it in there, and I'll let you all see the numbers from an actual app. So anyway, that's it. That's your daily dose of DI for today. I think it's important that we frame our conversations in things that I think matter. I don't want to get into platitudes. I don't want to get into hyperbole, but I want to get into tactical things that matter. So there it is. That's that. All right.